Well, actually, we had a lot going on. Besides Las Vegas, we sent some guys to. We had some of our younger guys go up to a tournament at Storm Lake at Buena Vista College, where let's see, Osmani Diver Sent was a champion, Kane Nocturborn was a champion, and Nate Schoen was a champion. And then we sent a few guys out with Coach St. John to the Cleveland State Open, where Ethan Perryman was a champion. So props to those guys. And then, we took 10 guys to Las Vegas, and obviously some good stuff. Anytime you have that many guys and that many matches, you got some good stuff and you got some bad stuff. I mean, I guess the overriding theme here is it's really hard for us to stay healthy right now. So we didn't help ourselves any there because we got banged up in a couple weights there. I think the good news is all those guys are going to get back at some point. And then now going forward, we'll have a much different lineup probably going into North Dakota State. But the Humboldt High School event is always a lot of fun. They sell it out every year. There's a lot of excitement. We don't know a lot about North Dakota State. They've got a new coaching staff that's fairly new. I think they're in their second year. So they're not, they probably struggled a little bit, but we're limping a little bit right now too. So we just need to get there and compete. And we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week to see who we're going to put out there. So don't ask me who the heck we're wrestling because I don't know. But I'll be able to answer better on Thursday. So that's where we're at.
Mendia, where's he at after Cliff Keen?
Well, he's probably 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
High ankle sprain.
Okay.
If you saw that was pretty. That was you could tell he really got that thing cranked on. So that's just I wish I could put a finger, a pinpoint. I've been doing this a long time. One year when I was at Virginia Tech, we had a very similar year where we just couldn't get healthy, and right now we're in that that situation right now. And I wish I could pinpoint and say, we need to do more of this or less of this. I think it's just bad luck. You look at Uten and Mendia, those two guys do everything right. They don't cut any weight. Yeah. It's just sometimes it's just when you get these big, strong, fast, athletic guys crashing. That's what we're experiencing right now.
I guess how difficult or frustrating is it when, like you said, it's bad luck, there's nothing you can kind of do about it as you try to, it was already going to be difficult to sort out a lineup this year, but it makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah, it just seems like we can't ever get there. I think the only good thing, and that's a great question, I think the only good thing out of it right now is it is, December 10th-ish. And so, by the time we get to the end of January and when, February is when you really want to start obviously hitting your stride, and, you really want to hit your stride in March. So I'm hoping that maybe that's the silver lining here is that we've got that, we've got that in front of us right now.
On the probable lineups is still Daniel Herrera here at heavyweight. When would you anticipate Younger being back able to wrestle?
I'm hoping that we can have him back by the first of the year. I think that he's on track to do that. But again, it's just one of those deals that's not healing as fast as we'd like to. And the last thing we want to do is put somebody out there right now and back up. And we probably backed up a little bit by throwing him out there in that Iowa City duel. So we just need to be smart.
Jacob's performance, first time on that kind of stage for him, at the collegiate level.
Right.
What did you think of that? At the wrestle, he said he thought maybe 6 matches.
I thought he did a good job. I think he kind of gave that last one away, kind of, made some mistakes against that Navy kid, but that Navy kid's a top 6 kid in the nation. So I think he made some really good strides. And, obviously we knew Evan was good. And if you looked and talked to those guys, if you can tell them apart, give me the secret because they're very similar in everything, and they both are really good wrestlers. So. It was good for Jacob to get a shot at him.
Evan at the same time falls down 10-1, comes back and pins the guy, gets to the final. I mean, he said he had some good and bad as well.
No, I think he did. I think he's, I think he had a good weekend, not a great weekend. I mean, I think, obviously he was the higher seeded guy and was expected to win that match, but that guy had other plans. And so I think back to the drawing board and the discipline that he's got to do with the weight class and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to see if he can do that and build off of this. So, if he's hungry and really wants to go out and improve upon what he did last year, it'll show in the room and then it'll show out there.
What did you learn about the two of them last year? Evan and Jacob both talked about how Evan would go to some tournaments, Jake was back getting TikToks and Instagram reels from one side or the other. Like, what did you learn about the two of them, actually being separated for once, where they're not taking the same class, they're not training together for a moment, and they're separate,
I think they still take the same class.
They are.
Right, they take the same classes, but like the one time they aren't, for a season.
No, that was, kind of unusual. You had one of them that Jacob was banged up, and so he was on full feed and, just coming to practice watching, and then Evan's in the grind in the guy. And that's what kind of started the year off, and now that they're both in there, it's probably easier on them, I'm sure.
think that kind of benefited you guys having a pair of twins in the lineup?
Well, I think if they wrestle really good, I'll take twins all day long. They can't wrestle worth a dang. I don't want them. So.
What does Christian Carroll learn, or what do you hope he's learning about wrestling some of these top end guys where it hasn't gone his way so far?
No, he's just got to get consistent. I mean, there's a really good wrestler, good athlete in there, but we're not in high school anymore, and you just don't go out and try hard and throw guys down. There's got to be technical work. There's got to be, daily weight management. There's got to be focus when you come into practice, and so he's figuring out what a lot of freshmen are figuring out. But the good news is, I do believe he is. I see progress, and so he needs to keep stepping it up. But I'm curious to see how he evolves as we get into February and March.
Is there any connection with the North Dakota State coach and you for the Humboldt duel? Because I mean, historically, there's always been some sort of connection there with that duel. Is there any connection that you know of?
No, I don't know how we got to that. We just had, I think what we did is we tried to save them a little bit of distance because, we cut off about an hour and a half of their trip because that Fargo to Ames trip's no fun. Especially, we usually get to do it in like late January, February, so that's what we'll get to do next year. So.
It's another, I guess, silver lining of having so many people banged up. You get a Daniel Herrera that much more. And what's his ceiling, and maybe some of the other guys that have kind of been forced into that lineup?
Yes, sir. I think that is the silver line. You're going to see guys this weekend that you've probably never seen in a varsity singlet at Iowa State. And Daniel, when the opportunity arose, he took it. And so, we don't know. We got some things to figure out there. I mean, Younger still has a. If his knee doesn't get any better, there's probably a chance to get a medical red shirt. But right now, Daniel Herrera's taking advantage of the opportunity, looking really good.
Has he burned his red shirt?
No.
Okay.
No, we're getting close. It's about burned.
Okay. Would this next weekend be burned?
I don't know. I got to do the math on that. I think this might be 5. We'll have to check.
He's got one.
He's got one more left.
Okay.
Yeah. They pay smarter people than me.
How have you seen other guys respond when getting the call if they need to step in that lineup? What's the overall energy for everyone?
Well, I talk about next man up. Next man up at 149, next man up at 184. That's what we're going to have this weekend because neither one of those guys are going to be able to go this weekend, obviously. Bachman's probably just a couple weeks, but, we're going to have to go with, probably a young guy, Nando Villascuse, and, Carter Fausick probably are going to be, depending on how this week pans out. And they get through some training. We got to train today, tomorrow, and Thursday, and so we're going to try to do that as beneficial and strategic and healthy as we can, and then we'll see who we take with us on Sunday.
What did you take from guys like Cody Chittum and Ethan Perryman who weren't in the CKLV lineup but went and wrestled at Cleveland State Open?
Well, we were very intentional there because we need to get Cody matches, and so we didn't get him as many as he wanted to. He had a medical forfeit and he had something else, so we wanted to get him a few more matches, but he still got 3 in. And again, Ethan Perryman taking advantage of getting to be in a Division I tournament and winning it is always good. Right now, Panero Johnson and Cody Chittum especially, those guys just need matches. We just need to get as many matches. So, we'll find something in late December, either the Soldier Salute or the Midlands, and we'll probably take a lot of which we've never historically done, to get caught up and get guys matches. We'll take a bunch of guys to those events that all are either in Chicago or Coralville.
Your guys seem to really enjoy wrestling in an intimate environment like Humboldt High School. What's your perspective on what it's like to wrestle in that venue?
Well, I'd wrestled in that venue way a long time ago before there was cars. But that's a fun gym. That's a fun gym to wrestle in, and I think it's our 5th year in a row, and it's packed and they're loud and they love Iowa State, and at least the people that show up there seem to. And our guys talk about it all the time. In fact, Bachman just said in the locker room, he said, "Man, I hope I can wrestle Sunday," because he goes, "All I hear all the guys on the team talk about how much fun it is to wrestle at the Humboldt event." So we'll be excited to get there.
It was a pretty good football season for your alma mater.
Yeah, they got second state, so we never pulled that off.
How much fun is it for you to have this going on for so many years and bring such a unique thing to the program and the fans? I mean, how much fun is that for you?
It's a fun day. It always is. I get to see all the people I grew up with, and they're some of our biggest fans and supporters. I think Humboldt County, besides Story County, sells more season tickets than anybody in wrestling than any county in Iowa. So they're loyal diehards.
What was it like when you wrestled there and came in on horseback and dismounted and rode it.
threw my gun in my. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were okay.
Yeah, right. So,
Too.
Wrestling has just always been big at Humboldt, and we had a great coach. We had a great program. We had a great tradition. It was a fun place to grow up. We had always had good teams. We finished second to state when I was a senior, so it's just a lot of good memories there.
Coach, I have a question related to NIL. I know right now football's going through the transfer portal opening and things are, going to change here in the next year or even less. But from your perspective as someone who's been a coach, for a while, what are your thoughts on the way NIL is changing everything? I mean, universities are about to be involved. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Phew, I could go a long time on that. I think the short answer is that I at least speaking for myself, it's very frustrating. I don't have a problem with athletes earning some money while they're wrestling, but what's happened and the numbers we're seeing right now is just really out of control. And obviously it's worse for, if you're a blue chip football player, basketball, your street value is off the charts. If you're a blue chip wrestler, the same thing. Maybe not at the same level, but I just don't think it's sustainable. I don't see how we can go on at the same level we're going on. I know there's people trying to figure it out, even at the Congress level and everything, but somebody needs to figure it out because it isn't sustainable, and it's definitely going to ruin non-revenue sports. It's going to ruin non-revenue sports. Be curious to see what the NCAA tournament looks like in wrestling in 20 years, in 10 years. I don't want to sound doom and gloom, but I'm very pessimistic on if something doesn't change that it's going to eliminate a lot of programs.
How do you anticipate, in particular, with roster limits like that coming down the pipeline?
Well, that's another thing. It's like we got 42 guys in our roster, and we have to carve our roster down to 30 guys. Plus, we signed 4, and you always have a transfer or 2 because you got to play the portal game. You got to have some conversations with some guys that And I've always had a little bit bigger roster than normal because I like having a lot of training partners. I don't want to wrestle the same guy and train the same guy all week long. I want guys to have 4 and 5 options. Different styles, different paces, and it gives guys a lot of different looks, but that's gone too, So I hope the NCAA comes in and at least lets us use our red shirts because, if you have 30 guys in a roster and you red shirt 5 or 6 guys, you basically have too deep in a lot of weights.
Talking about,
and we'd be in trouble if we had too deep right now. Like we'd be forfeiting. If next year, if we're in the same space next year with the 30-man roster, we would be forfeiting at least 1 way to maybe 2 for a couple weeks. And that's not good.
Talking about transfers, you've got some guys like CJ Carter who came up from the JUCO level and other guys who are maybe from other schools. What do they really bring to the wrestling room having experience outside of Iowa State?
Well, I think just the fact that, that like a CJ Carter won JUCO Nationals last year, he won Junior College Nationals. So, I think a guy like that's a good addition, and you just got to see how much he can grow at the next level. I always say recruiting high school kids and even transfers, especially a transfer like him, is a little bit like picking stocks. You can do all the research in the world, but that doesn't guarantee that you're always going to get a winner. So you got to get them in the room and see what they're all about and develop them. Where the portal's a little bit more exact. I mean, you buy a 4th or 5th year guy that's done this already, especially in the sport of wrestling, you got a pretty good pick. Those cost you money though.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.